Hello everyone and welcome back to pa 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 packs and recreation. So you can guess Final Fantasy, and you may be thinking, well, but you don't have a Final Fantasy playmat. It's like, well, no, I don't, because this set, I'm telling you, this set is a blessing for Wizards. It's a curse for everyone that loves the freaking game, because man, getting stuff from Final Fantasy is so difficult, and you can be like, oh, but I saw some playmats online. It's like, yeah, but those are not the cool ones. I want the cool ones. And those are sold out everywhere. Damn. So I'm waiting. I got two, but they are in transit forever because I had to get it from different stores. Drama. So going with the classics. We are here together to go after all the decks from Final Fantasy. So, new box. What took me so long? What took you so long? So basically, found that I did the Snake voice, and actually the people that say that is either Otacon or Miller. So it's not really the Snake voice, but whatever. As you know, we normally in this channel try to play with the deck, and some people do it the efficient way, which is they wait for the deck to be leaked or revealed officially, and then they play with the deck virtually in something like I don't know, Cockatrice or Moxfield or whatever, right? So that allows you to test the deck for free, and then you can have your opinions. But here we are idiots, and we only do it with the cards, the actual cards in hand, because, well, I like cardboard. So basically, I had to wait to play with them. But then, you know how I normally say this, and I say like, oh, I play with a set of decks, and then there's another for me to open, and sometimes that's for like a friend or from a friend, and I just open it. So in this case, it was kind of the same, but it was very difficult to get. So we got the original decks, we play with all of them, and then these are basically a friends that finally got a set of decks, and he was like, yeah, you can open them, because I'm not going to buy this thing twice, because these things are awfully freaking expensive. And mind you, I did pre-order mine, and yet we have this. Now the devil is in the little details, and I like the little details. This is in order. So Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, and Final Fantasy XIV. So lovely. I do love details. Now these are the old Commander boxes, which we're going to see in a second, because yes, we are not only going to talk about gameplay, and we're going to talk a lot about Final Fantasy, boys, but we're also going to talk about cardboard, because I care. And if you don't, well, wrong channel, I guess. So they are back to the old style of Commander box. In case you are new to this, they change Commander boxes so much that if you are new to this game and you see them all in a shelf, like at your local game store, like a supermarket or something, you will be like, I guess some are better than others, because this is the same they use for Warhammer, and if I recall correctly, the Lord of the Rings, and this is the old style of Commander deck, but then, which is technically the Commander deck from Universes Beyond. But then, as you know, we went through all styles of deck box. So we had this one, which I personally liked a lot, but it's a lot of wasted space. This one that didn't last that long, that is similar to this one, but since it is three-dimensional, baby, it's kind of more difficult to store. And we had these ones, which, remember the oversized cards? Yeah, Wizards neither. So we had all those. And the current style of Commander box, it's actually this one, right? So, and if you want to see them all together, just go see the Tarkir Dragonstar Commander deck review. But as you can see, in the space of one of these, you can almost fit two. So I'm not against them being more efficient, but for some reason, they went back to this one. It's kind of a hybrid. It has its advantages, its disadvantages. But yeah, overall, for the environment and shelves and everything, see the box? This was a whole box for 3, and this was the size of a normal box. So like, yeah, you can fit a lot more Commander decks. So that's the first thing. So yeah, that's the first part. So basically the box and cardboards, you know how this channel is. Skip to this time for the actual reviews. But basically, that's the first thing that pops right away, right? So they go with this style of boxes for Universes Beyond. I don't know if they decided this is stuff for Universes Beyond. Yes, it gives somewhat more of a protagonism to the thing, but actually like the current boxes are half of it, are basically these, which is enough. I'm okay with them showing the cards so you can see the effect, but I don't get it. Like and this is a side note, but bear with me, yeah, right? You know this channel. So basically, if we are doing Universes Beyond, and the logic of Universes Beyond is to try and is two things, right? Either you like Magic and you like, in this case, Final Fantasy, or you like Final Fantasy and that lures you into Magic, which is what hopefully Wizards wants to do, right? Ironically, this is the most sold set of all time, I think. I think already surpassed the Lord of the Rings. So this proves once again that we weebs rule the world. But basically, if you are a normal person that just likes Final Fantasy, if that's possible, and you want to buy a Magic the Gathering deck, this is enough. This, I guess, you get a preview of what a card is. It's not like the effect matters. And if you already like Magic, you already know what the cards do. The cards do because you either watch videos like this, or you saw the spoilers or the reveals or whatever. So I don't really get it. I guess it's to have more of a presence in the shelf because it's like, oh, expensive and all that. But yeah, it is what it is. So it includes a collector booster sample pack plus 2 legendary traditional foils. And then, so we're going to go one by one. Normally we do it alphabetically. We're going to do it numerically this time because Final Fantasy VI, 7, 10, and 14. And that's the order we're going to have to do the review and go one by one. Just as a note, yes, I do spend more time on the first one because I want to show you the packaging and all that, but then all the others we just go directly to the cards. So first and foremost, Final Fantasy. By the way, my OCD is very happy that they put the whole Final Fantasy name here, and I love that they put the Final Fantasy number in the card, which, in case you don't know, the Final Fantasy number for each game is here in the corner, not only the Commander decks, but also in the main set. And I love that as a person that loves Final Fantasy. So that's very good. So I love when things make sense. So Final Fantasy VI, first of the decks, Revival Trance with Terra Ortina, if you played Final Fantasy III in the US back in the day. Because if you don't know, Final Fantasy VI was called Final Fantasy III in the Super Nintendo for the United States, mostly because they only got Final Fantasy 1 and 2 for the NES or the NES, and then they got Final Fantasy VI, and people in the US were like, we're going to rename it to 3. And then they got Final Fantasy VII in the PlayStation, so a lot of people were like, damn, we missed some entries in the saga. And yes, you did, but not the ones you thought. So basically that. So full disclaimer, Final Fantasy VI is my favorite Final Fantasy. So there are two types of people with good taste and people that don't like Final Fantasy VI. So basically, you can't destroy everything. Fight alongside Terra to restore balance to the world. Battle your friends with Final Fantasy's iconic heroes, villains, and spells. Use this card. So spend your turn searching for your fallen allies and restoring them back to health, which is very lore accurate, and this is a thing that they went for specifically with the Commander decks, and I like it when the Wizards design team is like, we need to tie in the lore, which is the thing that I like the most about the Universes Beyond Commander decks. And that's why I'm sad that Spider-Man doesn't have Commander decks, because it's like, really, bro? Because it really fits right into it. And that's both the best part of the Commander decks and the downfall of the Commander decks for Universes Beyond. And you will see when we get to the cards, but use this card mill and other effects to fill your graveyard, then rise from the ashes in triumph. And Terra, Herald of Hope. Born with the ability to wield magic, Terra was placed under mind control by the Gestalian Empire and forced to fight as a living weapon. The spell was broken after an encounter with a frozen Esper, and she joined a rebel group known as the Returners to fight against the Imperial regime. So, man, the intro for Final Fantasy VI is bomb. That shit is good as hell. So, that's the theme of the deck. Now, just based on this, one thing I have to say one thing. I don't know why. One thing is, I get what they were going for, but I can't lie to you. When I saw that the colors for Terra were going to be Mardu, I was like, I guess it makes sense. Maybe. Like, sure. And it makes sense. And I understand that, yeah, if part of Final Fantasy VI is, yeah, get your party back together. And it's like, oh, you have to revive. So you have to send things to the graveyard to send them back. So in terms of theme, I guess it's there. But yeah, it doesn't. Searching for friends. Yay, I love it. I love it when they add notes to this. This is a lost art. They are doing less and less. So searching for friends. Yes, they are. So this opens like this. Which apparently my deck, my box suffered, as you can see. And this thing was sealed. But apparently it has suffered. And it has suffered for a reason. You could see that the deck is dancing around. And this is the problem with this box. My deck danced a little too much. I can tell you. My friend's gonna love this. This is recorded in video. It wasn't me. You saw me. Like after opening the box, I just put it on the table. Like I didn't shake this thing. Oh man! For the one divider I like because it's Terra, and the thing is bent. Like life is certainly a thing. So the insert. For a second, I was like, "Is this a?" And that's pretty much it. But the thing doesn't come out because it is stuck with the other. Oh man, quality control, huh? The deck box. Look at this. And it wasn't me. You saw me opening the box. Like, I know that for some things I don't open the box. Oh, okay, no. Actually, you know what? Oh man, I'm such an idiot. I remember one comment once in a video. I was opening I think it was the Lord of the Rings deck boxes, and I was like, man, these things are difficult to open. And someone in the comments wrote something like, you're supposed to open them from the back, you idiot. And I'm like, oops. So, and to that, I have to say two things. So, yes, I'm an idiot. Yes, it's easier to pull them from the bottom, as you can see. However, two things that I have to say about the others are going to open it from the bottom. So it's an unboxing channel. We are good at this, I swear. Amazing art. So one thing that I have to say, even if I open it to the bottom, this thing was already wrecked. Okay, this wasn't me. So that's one thing. Two, yes, I understand that because of the way this box is, it's easier to pull things from the bottom, but, and hear me out for a second. Then I have a question for Wizards, and I will try with some of the other decks that I don't think the deck is dancing as... Oh, friff, damn. Are all decks dancing? Well, this is going to be fun unboxing. But if you're supposed to open it from the bottom, why is the flavor text on top? Because when you pull it like this, you don't see the flavor text unless you go like this or you like do this specifically. So, I digress. So some counters, +1/+1 counters, some Final Fantasy counters, I guess, and dividers. So we get 3 dividers. So Celes, Terra, and a Final Fantasy Crystal. They all suffered. So the dividers, these are like mini dividers. So this is that. Now, one thing that some people ask, like, what to do with this? It's a shame that you can do anything with this because of the way this is cut. But some people do cut this and have an extra card, So because it's the commander anyway, so it's not like you're gonna be bothered because it's thick or something. So have at that. I think that's also the reason why Wizards doesn't do this anymore for commander decks, but So the envelope where normally there will be the life counter, there are no life counters anymore. The deck box for my beloved Terra. So there is that with the secondary art, which, to be fair, I kind of like the secondary art more than the main art, but it is what it is. And the insert. So the insert, what does the insert say? Revival trance, play in the deck. So you have here kind of a summary, which is what we're going to go for. Playing the deck, add your team or restore the war's balance in this deck. So graveyard is revival, guys. So discard mill and other effects for your graveyard, then turn the tide. And with Celes, every creature that returns will become even stronger. So it's kind of tide, but not really. We will go for it in a second. The rules for Commander, which makes sense because this is for newcomers. And then a little bit of lore for Terra, Herald of Hope, and for Celes Rune Knight. So this is very cool. And if you only like Magic, this is a very good introduction. And why? Also, this is one thing that I love about Universes Beyond, which, now that I think about it, the box doesn't say anywhere Universes Beyond. It just says Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy. So, no more Universes Beyond. It's just Magic. Makes sense because it's a standard set, but whatever. These are the Commander cards, so... One thing that I love about this is when they do the Magic colors, explaining you what each color does, which for newcomers this is great, actually. And then for people that know one or the other or both, why is this deck associated with red, white, and black mana? Red represents the rebellious spirit against the Empire possessed by Terra, Celes, and the Returners. White embodies the Returners' purpose of restoring order to the world, and black symbolizes the power-hungry Gestalian Empire, which is like, sure. I guess you can make any color combination if you just go like, if it's about the game Final Fantasy VI, you can just, any color combination works. So it is what it is. So this is here, and now this is just very, this was a horrible unboxing. This is horrible, guys. So, okay. Now for the cards, the collector booster samples or the collector boosters do have Terra, which make them great. This is one of the hardest sets that we had so far for us to get any product. Like normally we open collector boosters. That thing is getting very difficult for multiple reasons. So maybe just to have a reason to have a podcast talking about the set, likely we're gonna open play boosters, which is gonna make a very long video, but it's just gonna be geeking and gushing about Final Fantasy as a whole, the games, my favorite Final Fantasy, my less preferred Final Fantasy, and also the status of Magic and why this set is so expensive and why is it so difficult to just enjoy things in life. You know, the usual existential dread. So if you want that, let me know, because I never open play booster boxes because they are too big and people, it's like, we're not gonna get crazy pulls. We get some good pulls, but nothing. So the ad card, and then, ooh, Tifa Martial Artist with the number on the back. This is great. This is for the other deck, but this is great. And Kefka Dancing Mad, so also great. As a note, in these sample boosters, apparently you only get Commander cards. So they did it so you can't get, under any circumstances, the actual set cards. So you have to buy that if you're able. So promise the other decks won't be that long to open or horrible. It's a shame that I did that to the Final Fantasy VI one. Now let's talk about the deck. So Terra, Herald of Hope. As usual, what we do is I try to open the insert. Everyone loves the insert. I try to open it first, see the color difference. So we go to the tokens, and the tokens will let us. Man, these cards smell horrible. They smell like armpits. I don't know what happens with the Belgium cards, but they all smell like this. I don't know. The US cards sometimes smell like this. The Japanese ones are the only ones that smell like that. And yes, this channel is all about the smell of cards. It's all about cardboard and the smell of cards. We don't care about the game at all. So, the tokens. I already know what the game is about, the deck is about, but let's see. The Blackjack, nice. The Token Legendary Artifact Vehicle, Flying Crew 2. We have a couple of them. We have the Monarch, great art, by the way. All the art here. If you like Final Fantasy, this is like a dream come true. It's better than the Final Fantasy card game, which we actually have. And I have to tell you something. I have a couple of decks from that, and I was like, I will open it around the launch of Final Fantasy. I haven't got the time, but I will try to do it just for fun. So, Copy, Moogle, copy, Moogle, copy, Moogle, copy, Moogle, treasure, Moogle, treasure, Moogle, treasure, Moogle, treasure, Moogle. So we use Moogles in this deck, in case that wasn't perfectly clear. So each deck has 25 new designs, and if you're new to this, new designs means new cards as a concept. Everything else is just cards that already existed in Magic the Gathering, but this time with a Final Fantasy skin, so with new art. Which makes the Universes Beyond Commander decks some of the most valuable just for the sake, and more expensive for Wizards just because, well, they have specific art for the whole 100 cards. So the main commander is Terra, Herald of Hope. And Terra is a Mardu commander, which means red, white, black, and is a 3/3 human wizard warrior. It has the following abilities. Trance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, mill 2 cards. Terra gains flying until the end of turn. Great, good lore. And whenever Terra deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2. When you do, return target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. Which is not bad, so you can already see what the deck is all going to be about. Terra mills. And then before attacking, and she flies, and therefore after, if you do combat damage with her, if you pay 2, you return target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. So not bad, not crazy, but not bad. Actually, there's another magic card that is pretty much this. And Celeste Rune Knight, which costs the same, Mardu +1. It's a 4/4 human wizard knight. And when Celeste enters, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards +1, which is not bad. And then whenever one or more other creatures you control enter, if one or more of them entered from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So, not bad. You will see as we see the deck that this deck has a technically, and this is the thing with the Final Fantasy decks in particular, if you look at the commander and the secondary commander or co-commander, which if you're new to the game, you can run the deck with either of them. This is the main one that the deck was thought for, but the other works as well. The deck kind of tries to do whatever we are trying to go here, but not really. Like Terra is all about you doing damage with Terra, that's why she gains flying, and you can mill cards. You have to mill cards. She flies, and then she does combat damage. You pay 2, so that's kind of the bummer. You have to pay for it specifically. And then return power 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield tap. So nothing too crazy. So Terra is going to be your mill engine, and then you can bring things from the graveyard. But only 3 or less, and they enter tap. But it's after combat, so it is what it is. And for Celeste, yeah, when she enters, you get a nice reason to discard part of your hand, and then you get more cards, +1, so not bad. Whenever one or more creatures you control enter, if one or more of them enter from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put +1/+1 counters on each you control. So this is one of those cases where if you have 2 at the same time on the battlefield, yeah, they complement each other very good. But on their own, they are trying to go for different things. So Terra is all about she's the one doing damage, and then you bring things. Whereas Celeste, it's all about once things enter the battlefield, everyone gets +1/+1, so including her. So everyone gets stronger, so that everyone can attack. So none of the 2 of commanders from Final Fantasy VI are crazy powerful, right? But now, if we look at the cards, you will see the strategy of this deck. You have some of the new designs. Normally they are the first ones, are they? Yes, they are. So you have 25 new designs, which is, they had to, because a lot of things they have to put names, and whenever they have to put names or use specific things, yeah, they have to create a new card, because otherwise it's they have to do that thing where it's like the name of the card and then like the name of the thing, and then underneath is the name of the actual card, which they don't do that often. Which is weird, because it's recycling, it's perfect. I guess they want to sell more stuff. So, when artifact enters, surveil 1, exile 2 creature cards from your graveyard, sacrifice this artifact, and opponent chooses one of the exiled cards, you put that one on the bottom of your library and return the other to the battlefield tab. You become the monarch. So not bad. As you can see, the deck is technically going to be about milling and bringing things from the graveyard. So, see, 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. So this is where, as it happens with a lot of other cards, it gets confusing, because some cards in this deck benefit from having things in your graveyard where your objective should be to remove them from your graveyard and put them into play. So confusing. See, like the first time you bring it is 1 less to cast for each thing in your graveyard, but then whenever 1 or more creatures cards leave your graveyard, you put a +1/+1. Now the engines for remove things from your graveyard, those are different things. General Leo Christoph, can you revive him? That's one of the biggest rumors in gaming. So General Leo Christoph, or Christophi, people pronounce it different, but I think it's Christoph. Enters, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then put a +1/+1 counter on Leo for each creature you control. So again, bring cards. Espers to Magicite. When you do, choose 1 creature, exile this way, create a token that's a copy of the card. It's all about bringing stuff. You may sacrifice it, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is kind of the thing. However, you will see that so far everything is graveyard, which is not bad, but you will also see that we have things that don't really fit the theme that much. Whenever this combat damage to play, you must sacrifice another non-land permanent. If you do, draw 2 cards for each, and each opponent loses life. So there are things here for us to send things to the graveyard, but not that much. So Meal, the new designs are very focused on that. It's funny that they choked on the not new designs. So if a card left in your graveyard this turn, it deals damage. Gogo, same. Command your turn, you may have Gogo become a copy. This is just there because Gogo, I guess. Sabin, Master Monk, Double Strike, Blitz. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its Blitz ability. And then each player may discard their hand, Struggle and Realm. So again, exile a number of cards. You may cast them without paying the mana cost, etc. So that's kind of what you're going for. Then you have the Saga creatures. This is new to Final Fantasy, by the way. They had to change one of the rules about sagas just because of this set, because a Saga creature, or basically the summons, you have to fulfill the conditions, and it does things, right? Exile an instant or sorcery card from each graveyard. Is a 3/3 with flying haste, Esper Valigarmanda, and you add 1 red for each lore counter on this saga. You may cast an instant or sorcery card exiled with this saga, and mana of any type can be spent to cast this spell. So Umaru Raging Gel. So Jetty is not Gel. So discard a hand, draw 4 cards. You have some engines. See, you have things to go to your graveyard. Spells, cards from your graveyard. Artifacts and anything you cast this way. It has some artifact magic here, which is weird because those are not creatures. And if you look specifically, both Terra and Celeste are all about creatures from your graveyard, and you can do some things with artifacts, which is okay, I guess. At the beginning of your end step, exile a card random from each opponent graveyard. You may cast any number of spells among cards this way. So again, we are going there. However, you are supposed to mill and create treasures, right? Which is okay. Mog is here, which of course, and this is part of the reason why we have Mughal creature tokens with lifelink. So this is here just because it had to be here. And this is one of the things that you're going to realize from all the decks that we are looking at, which is, as a Final Fantasy fan, as you go through this deck, this is more or less how it went for me the first time, right? Because I kind of bought them like blindly, because I like Final Fantasy, I like Magic, it is what it is. So basically, I was like, hey, man, sets are nice, crazy. Let's see the ability. Wow, fucking great. What are they? The Warring Triad. Man, yeah, the Warring Triad. I remember these. Flying Trample Haste. As long as there are fewer than 8 cards in your graveyard, the rest is a creature. Yeah, makes sense. Next, Sun Titan. Man, this is what they are. They went for Sun Titan. Crazy. Vigilance. And whenever this creature enters the deck, so we're going into the print territory, right? But Tragic Arrogance. Man, for each player you choose from among permanents that creature control, and I was like, well, it makes sense that they went for these art, right? So that's how and that's kind of half the enjoyment, I guess, from the Universes Beyond decks, is like, when you go through them, you just go like, oh man, crazy, right? It's like the first ones are more like in your face, because it's literal things from the game, it's the new designs. And that's why there is a lot of legendary creatures. All these decks have the same problem. There's a lot of legendary creatures that maybe we didn't need in the deck, but they are there because Final Fantasy. Like the same happened with Fallout and so on, right? But in the case of and Doctor Who, it happened a lot with Doctor Who. In the case of Final Fantasy, well, you have so many characters because it's a whole game per deck that they have to like, okay, we have to add this character, we have to add this character, and the theme it tries to be there. So Reanimate is here, one of the feature cards, let's say, Rise of the Dark Realms. All creature cards from all graveyards to the battlefield. So there is a lot of things here that are about graveyard. Not all of it is 100% graveyard oriented. Like I feel like there is a lot of things here that are like, oh yeah, graveyard, but it's not your graveyard. And it's like, if it's not my graveyard, does it matter? Well, to some of it, yes. So for Terra is your graveyard, but for Celes is from a graveyard. If one or more of them entered from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard. The problem is that you don't often steal things from your opponents, you send stuff to their graveyards. So that's kind of the problem here, right? Like exile target, online permanent that opponent controls, and all tokens that player controls with the same name as that permanent. I know what they're going for here, but again, Reno's Ultimatum, that makes sense. You have Sunboard Wipes, the classic Key to the City, Solemn Simulacrum. I love the fact that this is the golem for Solemn Simulacrum. See, this is the thing. This is why you buy Universes Beyond cards. It's not for nothing else. I don't hate Universes Beyond, so I'm not that person that is like, Magic was better. I love Magic's lore. I wish that this was more of a once in a while type of thing, you know, not a whole year of Universes Beyond decks, because this feels special. You love it. But I understand they want to sell as many things as possible. So it's like, okay, in the same year, Final Fantasy, Avatar, and Spider-Man. Let's go. And the actual Magic the Gathering decks is like, okay, Tarkiri's Dragons. So that one we have to do properly because I guess there is a clause in the contract for the Wizards design team that is like, okay, once a year, we like one of the sets for each year has to be a good set. I guess that's the why they move Lorwyn to the next year, because it's like it was two Magic sets at the same year with Tarkir and that one. So they were like, okay, no, so we get to do two hat sets, like one Space, one Mad Max Wacky Razors, then a good one. And then everything else Universes Beyond. And it's like, well, okay, cool. So I think that was the agreement. And that's also the reason why they moved it. But see, like, this is lovely. But again, you see that everything is about getting cards, milling, triggers. You do get treasure tokens from time to time. And there is a thing with how do you call it? With token creatures. But nothing too crazy. There is a Angry is here. So there is a lot of things that is like, okay, see, like draw 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. It's like, okay, I get it. Like, yes, dungeon crawling treasures. Final Fantasy VI has treasures, I guess. It's weird that they focus on that, but yeah, they do a lot of sacrifice. Then you have nice. Then you have the rest of the machines. Again, you have to win somehow. So I understand that you have a lot of things to send things to an opponent's graveyard. I just think it's weird that, it's, you don't interact that, like your commanders don't benefit from that specifically. Like, Celes benefits if you get things out of the graveyard, not if you send them. So I get it, but I'm not too crazy about it, right? So, and this is another thing, by the way, at least the lands are full art lands, which is cool too, and because they are all freaking gorgeous and amazing. And if you are like me, because let's be honest here for a second, right? Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy X, and 7, for different reasons, have higher fidelity, right? So Final Fantasy XIV is fairly recent. Final Fantasy VII has even a movie. So like everything in Final Fantasy VII is done to a degree, and they even have 3 remakes and 4 remakes if you consider the one for mobile games. And yes, I'm counting like each part like of the 3 the remake saga as one, like but as different things. And then Final Fantasy X, yes, it's old too, because I remember being like, oh, Final Fantasy X is like, it's not recent, brother. It has like 20 something years. It's like, yikes. Insert meme of soldier getting old. But basically, Final Fantasy X, it was in the PlayStation 2 era, so maybe it wasn't the best of graphics, but you can see things. But Final Fantasy VI, this was pixel art in Super Nintendo. And although pixel art is immortal, because it's 2D, and 2D general rule is immortal, because, it's not polygons like Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII, I love it. However, you can't deny, like, either you like the polygon aesthetic or it feels old as hell. That's why it has a remake. It also has a remake because everyone loves Final Fantasy VII. But Final Fantasy VI doesn't have a lot of this. So seeing their characters and their places in high fidelity, like in art done by all these amazing artists, this is a treat, right? So if you like Final Fantasy, specifically 6, this thing is right there. Now, we're gonna go more into detail when we talk about each, like all decks one against the other. As you know, when we get to the end, we compare all decks, and I go into detail about gameplay strategies. But you see what the deck is going for. They do have stuff, but it's kind of there. Now, Final Fantasy VII, Limit Break, the best name that a deck could have for Final Fantasy VII. Obviously, Cloud Strife is the commander, the front man, and equip weapons, raise your stats past 7 power, which is also a nice wink detail. So let's mosey get into gear with Cloud and fight for the planet's future, which is basically a Voltron deck. If you're new to this, Voltron, which yes comes because of Voltron, if you don't know what it is, look it up. Is because things accumulate on top of it and you get bigger and bigger and bigger. So this is basically equip things to your creature, make it bigger, and just hit very, very hard. Battle your friends, blah, 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 blah. Build out your party of companions and equip them with formidable weapons, reach a power of 7 or higher on your creature to break past your limit. And Cloud, ex-soldier, is a young man who claims to be a former lead member of Shinra's soldier unit. When he was hired as a mercenary for the anti-Shinra organization, Avalanche, he learned that his nemesis Sephiroth was still alive. Now he pursues Sephiroth to settle their score. So, same logic, same thing. Now I'm going to open this from the bottom, okay? Because you can only make the same mistake per video once. Now, yes, if you open it from the bottom, it's not as pretty for some reason, and maybe you can argue that you are supposed to grab it from here, but hear me out. See, this one is also destroyed. It wasn't me, okay? It wasn't me, guys. It wasn't me. It wasn't me destroying the box because I opened it from the top. This one is also destroyed because whoever did this was like, yeah, let's put the deck, but not that much effort with anything else. You saw me opening the box. So, yeah, so the dividers. Oh, poor Tifa. Look at this. It's like, okay, no one cares about this, but still it sucks that you get it like this. Like, no one cares. I care. I care about cardboard. Insert the deck box, which like it because it's kind of a remake of the basic art of Cloud with a sword from the game. And the thingy. Now, again, Final Fantasy counters, +1/+1 counters. Nice art of Cloud. Amazing. And Cloud ex-soldier. So, there is that. My poor little freaking dividers. Now, the problem with this, as you can see, is not only that this is, but this, my dear friends. Now, can you imagine, like, nothing of value comes in a sample booster pack, but can you imagine if I pull the craziest of things? Ah, man. Really, there wasn't another way of doing this, really. Now, again, see, since you pull the thing from the bottom, you don't get to see the top. Those who fight further, which is the name of the song. So, well, there is those who fight, but yeah. I wish there was one for Final Fantasy VIII, and the box said the man with the machine gun. So, well, can I get worse? Really, like, man. It's just cardboard, but when things are as expensive as this, which is it's funnily stupid that a commander deck is as expensive, because this is supposed to be a very printable thing. Like, it's not like a collector booster. Man, look at this freaking thing. My soul is hurting right now. Let's see what we got. I hope it's not a good card. Okay, well, it hurts, but not as much if it was the Tifa card. Summon Magus Sisters and Avalanche of Sector 7. Well, this is the Final Fantasy VII theme. This was Final Fantasy X, but still. Well, you can do that because it's not foil, so it's not like trying to fix the foil of a card. At least it's curved, but it's not that type of curve that leaves a mark. So, god damn it, I hate this thing. So the deck box, it is what it is, but the art is amazing. Like humans are a beautiful thing. It's like, oh well, cardboard boxes, no one uses this, no one cares. Also put Final Fantasy characters, like, oh, cardboard box. So there is that. Now for the insert, which I will not read for the interest of time, because this video is going long, and I'm still in the Final Fantasy VI deck. So limit break, playing the deck, suit up to defend the planet. This deck is filled with powerful equipment and characters ready to wield in battle. Let Cloud, ex-soldier, brandish a giant sword. You could call it Buster Sword, but I guess they don't want to, because, I guess, yeah, whatever. New gear combinations, no matter who holds that weapon. Your modified creatures will have the greatest power on the field. I love it that they have to put there so that new players are not like it has to be Cloud. So long as these creatures have power 7 or greater, their abilities will be even more potent. With Tifa, martial artist in your party, all your large creatures get to fight in 2 combats instead of 1. Utilize equipment variety and the strength of your allies to charge across the battlefield. And then commander rules, nice art of Cloud. And then this art that I like it, but I don't like it that much. Like the playmat and all that for this, people are, because it's Cloud, people love it, but this art is not the best, I will say. It's like, just for the sake of the artist, which, I don't know. So Nestor Osandon Leal is the artist for this one. Kudos to you, my friend. But, so I guess it's Justina Dura, which I can check here. Yeah, Justina Dura. So, to be clear, this art is amazing. This thing is beautiful. No disrespect to Justina whatsoever. It's just, there's something about the pose that doesn't really go crazy. Now, to that, I have to, again, reminder. Justina, you draw like a god. Like, I will never draw like this in 3 lives. So, all respect to you. I just don't, I don't go crazy for it, but it's just me. So, Cloud ex-soldier. You can pause to read if you want. Antifa martial artist. You can pause to read too. And then, why is this deck associated with red, green, and white mana? Are they going to say something about the planets because of, let's see, mana? Red represents the rebellious spirits of characters like Cloud, Tifa, and the members of Avalanche. Well, yes, who resists the oppressive regime of Shinra. Green symbolizes the powerful energy beyond the confines of Midgard, the life stream, and the vast expanse of the planet. There you go. I knew it. White embodies their noble desire to save the world and protect the planet. So, not bad. Don't you love it how the insert is in perfect freaking condition, but the cards took the biggest hit? I will never forgive you for that, Wizard. Never. So, Cloud Strife. Now let's see the deck. So let's go to the deck. This deck is fairly straightforward, like Final Fantasy VII. There are 2 types of people. People that like Final Fantasy VII and the haters. So, what type are you? In my case, I don't hate Final Fantasy VII. The problem is that I would prefer that we give some love to the other Final Fantasies from time to time. Like the remake of Final Fantasy VII is great, it's amazing, it's crazy. but maybe remake Final Fantasy VI. I don't know. Just saying. It's not like Final Fantasy VI has a movie. Just saying. Just an idea. Just a thing. Just thought. Just So let's see the tokens: soldier, rebel, soldier, rebel, soldier, rebel, soldier, rebel, soldier, rebel, soldier, rebel. You can imagine what this deck is going for. Foretell, which amazing rendition of the cover. After you foretell a card, you can place the exile card here. You may cast it in a later turn for this foretell cost, which is a treasure, which is foretell, soldier that is a rebel, and a soldier that is a rebel. So this is almost like a David Bowie song, rebel, rebel. So let's see our two commanders, basically Cloud and Tifa. So Cloud X Soldier, it costs 2, 1 red, 1 green, 1 white. Is a 4/4 human soldier mercenary. It has haste. When Cloud enters, attach up to 1 attack with equipment you control to it, which is very good. Immediate equipment for free. And whenever Cloud attacks, draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control. Then, if Cloud has power 7 or greater, create 2 treasure tokens. So that's very good because it's a 4/4. So with any equipment you get to, well, not any, but okay, with little effort. Better rephrasing. With little effort, you get to 7 very fast. And once you get to 7, you get 2 treasure tokens per attack. That's crazy. So you get a card for each equipment, and then you get 2 treasure tokens. So this is a very good machine. Plus, it has haste. It's attacking right away. It has haste. So yeah, it's kind of expensive for a commander. But listen, if you're preparing and you're putting equipment on the battlefield, the moment you get Cloud in there, it has haste. So it hits the ground, equips something, you're already attacking. If the equipment is good enough, you already have 7. You draw a card for each equip attacking creature. So in this case, if it's only Cloud, you get 1. And then, but then if you have more things, more creatures, you get more stuff. But you get 1 card right there. And then if you have 7 or more, which is, again, it's not that difficult if you have the right equipment on the field, you get 2 treasure tokens. So the turn Cloud is in, you hit the ground and hit the ground running, basically, as the kids say. So, it's basic, it's powerful, it's what's there. It's Final Fantasy VII. So Tifa, martial artist, for 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, is a human monk, is a 4/4. It has melee. So whenever the creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until the end of turn for each opponent you attack this combat. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control with power 7 or greater deal combat damage to a player, untap all creatures you control. If this is the first combat phase, there's an additional combat phase after that. So again, she works on her own and she has melee. So if you attack multiple with in a group, so this is kind of cool because if you attack all 3 opponents, so you need 3 creatures, your melee triggers. If your melee triggers and you get to 7/7, that you're already triggering the 2 attack phases, which is great, right? So she's good. She's better in a party. That's why specifically I like the phrasing of the insert saying when your party attacks. It's like, yep, because it's a party thing. It makes sense. And once again, we have good synergy between commander and secondary commander. So ideally, if you have both, good. But this is one of those cases where they both feel like they just work on their own. And funny enough, yes, getting equipments to her makes her bigger. So, her and everyone else. So it triggers. But it's funny because she works as the commander, but she doesn't need to be a commander. She's like sitting better with the other cards because she's all about like 1 or more triggers creatures you control with power 7 or greater. It's like, yes, but she's not like having crazy synergy. It's not like Cloud that you're trying to build everything. Once you have like more or less decent board with equipment and shit, you bring him in and boom, you start hitting the run. With Tifa, it's like, cool. I mean, she's in, cool. Like, don't get me wrong, you do damage if you have more stuff on your board, but it's not like you're going bananas, you know what I mean? So it's okay. So now for the specific cards, a lot of them are legendary creatures. So Sid, same, right? Equipment and vehicle spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Makes sense because he gives you the good stuff. It has jump during your turn. Sid has flying. And return type equipment or vehicle from your graveyard to your hand. Cloud's limit break, which is a great instant, so it is tiered. Choose one additional cost, so either 0 for destroy target tapped creature, Blade Beam, or Omni Slash, which is great. Is a great way of having me select attacks from an RPG. So when the inevitable Magic Cross Pokemon happen, it's never going to happen because I was about to say it will never happen because Pokemon also has a trading card game, but guess which other Japanese video game property had a trading card game too? So I guess everything is possible. Omni Slash, destroy all tap creatures. So Elena, target recruit, same, enters, return target non-assassin historic card from your graveyard. So artifact, legendaries, and sagas are historic, so you bring back an equipment. Heidegger, I guess, Shinra Executive, you get plus X plus 0, which is good because for you to get to the 7 attack is not because of equipment, it's just because of getting bumped. And you generate soldiers. This is one of the reasons why that thing is there. Heli Trooper, this creature attacks or target attacking creature. So equip abilities you activate that target this creature costs 2 less to activate. So this is fairly straightforward, right? So Ultimate Magic, Holy, love it. Prevent your control, get indestructible. This spell was cast from exile, prevent all damage that will be dealt to you this turn. So because that will be with Foretell. Avalanche of Sector 7, the card that we got there, that is not that much damage, but it is kind of damage. Avalanche of Sector 7's power is equal to the number of artifacts your opponents control. So, which is weird, because it's your opponent's control. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact they control, Avalanche of Sector 7 deals 1 damage to the player. It's cool, but you are the one that's supposed to have a lot of things. So it's crazy. Now, Kate's Teeth, or Kite's Teeth, Kujata, crazy here. Ultimate Magic, Meteor. So you have a lot of Ultimate Magics here. Vincent, Vengeful Atoner. The thing is, only with some people. So Cloud, Tifa, Vincent, you have the whole power 7 or greater. For example, Yuffie has ninjutsu, which is great, but it doesn't have anything else. Like whatever, yes, because it's ninjutsu, so she's not, But whenever Yuffie enters, gain control of target non-creature artifact for as long as you control Yuffie. Then you may attach an equipment you control to Yuffie. So not bad. Again, if you control a creature with power 7 or greater, draw a card. You have some triggers for power 7 or greater, but not a lot. So this deck is like, it's not bad, but it's trying to be fun without, if you gain 7 or more life this turn, they really hit the 7 in the head with some cards, with other not that much. For example, Barret doesn't have the 7 thing. It just says at the beginning of combat your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to target rebel you control. And whenever an equipment you control enters, create a 2/2 rebel, which is great. And Red 13 also has other modified creatures you control have vigilance and trample. And when Red 13 enters, return target auto equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's really like a very equipment synergetic deck. So it's very good by default, very easy, I will say, to play with. I think it's the most basic of the 4 decks to enjoy, in the sense that it's just boom, boom, boom. Like you just summon stuff and get, for example, Equip creature has base power and toughness 7/7. This is one of the most useful cards in this deck and can be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Equip legendary creature 3, equip 7, but then Cloud can just do it for free. And now you have Austere Command, chose to destroy all artifacts, all enchantments, all creatures with mana value 2 or less, all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. Bastion Protector, command the creatures you control had 2 +2/+2 and have indestructible. So see, other artifacts you control. So you have a lot of artifact synergy. And obviously you got a lot of equipment synergy. You have some cards with the whole 7 thing, but you don't have that much. So I think it's okay. I've seen some people being like, oh, it doesn't have a 7/7 synergy. It's like, brother, listen. If all 25 new cards were 7/7 themed, kill me already, right? It will be a very gimmicky deck, and most of those cards could not be used outside of, well, not really. They could be used anywhere, really. But it will be very one note, and you'll be frustrated most of the time because you're always looking at the 7/7. I understand that some cards having the 7/7 is part of the joy, but it is basically a Voltron deck. So it's a very good Voltron deck. I think And we will see this in more detail. The stack is here in the middle of. So it enters. It's a 0/1. It enters with a +1/+1 counter. If you pay 1 and sacrifice sack, target creature you control gains indestructible at the end of turn. Put sack's counters on that creature and attach an equipment that was attached to sack to that creature. So this card is maybe the best of all Final Fantasy cards in terms of lore. Barret Wallace, legendary. Whenever it attacks, it does damage equal to the number of equipped creatures you control to the defending player. So they do get some cards from the main setting here. Literally, you can see, like, is one of like, because they had them and they just work with this deck, so they were just, I mean, F it. They try to cultivate this here. So, you know, if you remember the equipment deck from Fallout, well, pretty much that. One thing that I like about this is that, similar to Doctor Who, since each deck is around a game, all the basic cards like Arcane Signet and Colossus Hammer is here. Nice. And Excalibur should be here, by the way, so go get it from Assassin's Creed. Hero's Blade. See, like all cards like Lightning Greaves, Skull Clamp, Soul Ring, Trailblazer's Boots, and you know, just the basic cards are themed with the art of the deck, which is also why I guess they are so expensive, but they are lovely nonetheless. See, very lovely. So Seventh Heaven and all that. So very cool. Again, we will go a little bit more into detail when I compare them, but you get the idea. This deck is, and you will see, is likely the most basic of all of them, which is not bad, okay? Like, a deck being basic is not bad by any means. It's just, I like overcomplicated decks, but that's not bad. So when you got the ball, you got a score. Remember those mini games, man. So embark on a journey to Samarkand alongside Tidus, or Tidus, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Battle your friends, boost your team's spirit by moving counters from creature to creature by mastering the sphere grid. Each of your creatures will level up with helpful new keyword abilities. Tidus, or I call it Tidus, right? I call him Tidus. You can call it Tidus, but I guess Tidus. Juna's Guardian. Cheerful and carefree, Tidus was an ace blitzball player in the city of Samarkand. After stumbling into Spyra, a world plagued by monsters known as Sin, Tidus joins the summoner Juna on her pilgrimage as he searches for a way home. And luckily, we don't have to choose one or the other. Both are here as the commander and the secondary commander. Man, this thing is also busted. This is the saddest unboxing of an expensive thing ever. Well, Juna survived. So no spoilers in the comments. So Tidus suffered. I mean, if I was opening this, like with no context, if I just got the decks into the table, you will be like, "Oh man, what did this guy do to the decks before the video?" But actually, instead of just opening that right away, by the way, shield counters, stun, fly, +1/+1 on Final Fantasy. Ironically, the one deck that is around 1/+1 counters doesn't have that many. So, ironically, when I was doing the video, when I started, to prep to record the video, I was like, you know what? I'm going to open the Wizards box in the video so that they see the whole thing, because this thing just got in and all that. And good thing I did, because otherwise you will not believe that, I opened it. I opened everything carefully, and yet this is what I get in return. So I guess it's a 50-50 thing between blaming the mailman that played soccer with this. What am I saying? Soccer, football with this, and you can tell I'm Mr. Worldwide. I'm like, soccer. It's like, guys, it's football. Well, blitzball. You can tell that the mailman played blitzball with this. That's also a thing that played a factor, certainly. But at the end, as usual, I have to blame Wizards of the Coast, because that thing is not secure at all. Like, just if you shake it a little, then the deck just comes free. Like, the deck is in good condition because it's a block, but everything else. Let's see. Juna, Grand Summoner, so white art. At least it's not that bent, not bad. And Hildebrand Manderville from Final Fantasy XIV. So we got 1/1, not bad. So yeah, it's a little bit bent, but not as bad as the other. At least the best pull so far, which is the Tifa card, was in good condition. So I am. Can you believe it? I'm more triggered because of the dividers. Like, look at this. Sad one. And then the thing is, I do use them. I don't use them like always, but I do use them, right? So it's sad that for once, because it's not that I hate. Again, I love Magic the Gathering's lore, but sometimes we gotta agree. Like, sometimes the cards or the art that they use for these things for the dividers is okay. You know, it's like okay, or a set doesn't resonate with you that much, so you're like okay. But in this case, it's Final Fantasy. I love all of them. And yet, Nestor did the art for this too. So I guess Nestor did the art for all the phase, key art for the commanders. Go for the goal, team. Tidus, Juna's Guardian, can turn the tides of battle by moving counters from creature to creature, and yada yada yada. You will see that's kind of the way this is meant to be played. So Tidus, Juna's Guardian, which has a very anime style look. Some people don't like it. They will prefer that both cards have the style of Juna, which is like more 3D, I guess. But it is what it is. I don't dislike it. Now, I do think that if you put the 4 commander, I don't need all commanders to have the same art style, but if you put the 4 commander decks and their boxes next to each other, they really don't seem alike. Art is all over the place. So, why is this deck associated with green, white, and blue mana? Let's see. The colors of green and blue intertwine, representing nature, life, and the aquatic embrace of Spira. Myriad life forms thrive in the lush, watery landscapes. And in white mana, the summoners and their steadfast companions symbolize their unwavering desire for moments of peace in a troubled world. Yeah, why not? Again, this is one of those. I love the color pie more than you can imagine. But sometimes and I love that they put these reasonings in there. But sometimes you read the reasoning and it's like, yeah, sure, guys. So Tidus, Juna's Guardian. Let's see. You can imagine what the deck is going to be about. It's all about counters. It's all about go team, go team, go team. So Tidus, Juna's Guardian, and Juna. The insert. I tried to put it into the deck box. Not successfully, I may add. There you go. Maybe. Damn. Okay, so let's go for the... Man, these cards smell awful. Let's look at the tokens, right? And, see? They shut me up right there. They were like, oh, you want counters? Here you have counters. We give you 4 set of card counters. So the bad side of that, I guess, is that in terms of tokens, you get treasures, clue, treasure, spirit, squid. You will see why. Spirit, squid, spirit, squid, spirit, squid. And therefore, you get 6 cards, because the other 4 are this. So if you are like me, and but at least, for better or worse, also they are double-sided. So you have some flexibility here in terms of what to do with them. So those are the tokens. You see what is this about. Let's see the commanders in detail. Tidus, Juna's Guardian, for green, white, and blue, is a 3/3 human warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may move a counter from target creature you control onto a second target creature you control. So before combat, you can move counters. And those counters can be anything. +1/+1, shield counter, anything. So all the ones that are there. Then you have cheer, not share, cheer. Whenever, it will be amazing, that will be share. And the ability is just like Tidus going into, do you believe in love after love? So whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. Do this once each turn. So this is basic way it works, right? So at the beginning of combat, you can distribute things, and distributed things is important because it's not crazy, but you can move one thing, and that allows you to empower your workforce a little bit because you can only proliferate starting one. Like you can't add a +1/+1 counter on a creature that doesn't have +1/+1 counters because proliferate is create +1 of each counter you have. So this is good because you can move one to a creature, and then each creature proliferates on their own. So that's good. So whenever one or more creatures you control with counters deal combat damage to players. So you can see this is all about counters. That's the Tidus game. You move counters, you add counters. Now Juna, Grand Summoner, it costs you green, white, blue, and 1 for a 1/5 human cleric, and it has 2 abilities. So Grand Summon, you tap it and add 1 mana of any color. When you next cast a creature spell this turn, that creature enters with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. So the next time you cast a creature, so it gives you 1 mana. The next time you cast a creature, that creature enters with 2 additional +1/+1. So that's very good right there. And of the 3, this is this is the deck where like the 2 commanders are more interchangeable. You will see why in a second when we compare them. Whenever another permanent you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters on it, you may put that number of +1/+1 counters on target creature. So this is basically a counter manipulation engine, and this is very good. She just taps, you summon stuff, and you put +1/+1s, and everything that dies with counters, you get that number of counters and +1. So nothing really dies. Everything is reused, I guess. Which goes in line with Juna to a degree. So in terms of flavor, it's very good. Tidus is more straightforward. Tidus is more like you can rearrange things, I guess, only 1. But then each creature that does damage, you get a card and proliferate. You can only do once each turn. So it's not for each creature that did damage. It's like whenever 1 or more did, you draw a card and proliferate, which is good enough. And but he's more like straightforward, like beginning of combat, move stuff. You had combat, you did damage, okay, grab a card, proliferate, and repeat. It's very, so I guess it makes sense if you compare the personalities of both in Final Fantasy X, right? It's like it's very straightforward. Let's go and just palms and give stuff to others and cheers and all that, right? It's like yay, and you get a card and everyone proliferates, it's crazy and all that. And Juna is more like she sacrifices herself to a degree. Later, like she taps, gives energy, so others can become stronger. And then whenever a permanent is sent to the graveyard, all that strength goes to another one. So in terms of flavor, they are there. Similar to I think that with Cloud and Tifa, it was more of a gameplay flavor. And with Terra and Celeste, I get what they were going for, but yeah, I think they went too hard into the whole revive from the graveyard. So now let's see the cards. As you can see, it is what it is. Auron, Venerated Guardian. So for 3 and 1, it's a 2/5. It has Shooting Star. Whenever Auron attacks, it has Vigilance. For attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and when you do, exile target creature defending player controls with power less than Auron's power until it leaves the battlefield. Chocobo Knights. Whenever you attack creatures you control with counters on them, gain double strike. So that's good. Gata and Lutsu, they enter, you choose target creature you control, then many +1/+1 counters. So you can see the whole strategy here is all about counters. So counters, +1/+1. If you put a counter, do this. If you put a counter, do that. So there is a reason. Shield counter, which also counts as a counter. And Summon Ixion. Nice too. You put a +1/+1 counter. It has first strike. It's a unicorn. Love it. Jojimbo is also here. X treasure tokens, where X is the number of opponents who control a creature with power 4 or greater. So not bad. Summoner Sending. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile that creature from your graveyard. If you do, create a 1/1 white spirit creature with flying. Put +1/+1 counter on it if exiled card's mana value is 4 or greater. So again, this is kind of straightforward, and I feel like a lot of the cards in here are the most useful outside of this deck to a degree. Like, it's not like Terra's cards are bad. Like, all cards are reusable, but they do feel like a little constrained. Since this is a +1/+1 deck, it's a +1/+1 deck. It's it's bread and butter of Magic the Gathering. It does try to do things here and there, right? Like, oh well, Riku from Kingdom Hearts? No, the good Rico. You probably put more counters. Balefor, Meister Seymour, where X is the number of counters among creatures. So it's all counters, right? So it is what it is. Sphere Grid is one of the feature cards in here. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. It has a lock ability. Creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on them have reach and trample. So not bad. Magus Sisters, which is the card that we pulled in there. You choose one at random. So you have combined powers, defense, and fight, right? So it is what it is. It has haste. Again, proliferate X times. So again, I like to read you all the cards. Basically, the thing here is +1/+1 counters. I do love cards like this. Continue the pilgrimage or find another way. Which, the moments Juna's Whistle. I do find that there is a card missing. You will see in a second why I see that. For this deck and for doing the thing. Waka, Devoted Guardian. It's no secret that like a lot of what happens here is then the basis for Kingdom Hearts in terms of theme, like with the ball and the island and all that stuff. And then yes, they put Disney into the mix, but it is what it is. So let me just check something very quickly. I don't think so. So moving on. Kimari, Shalinda. So, +1/+1 counter. Same, +1/+1 counters. Again, it is what it is. Collective effort. You choose one. If you want to read the card, just pause it, I guess, or just go check the deck list. It is basically straight up creatures with no counters on them. You know what I mean? Farewell. A lot of this is just whenever a creature you control without flying dies, return to the battlefield you control with flying counter on it. Part of the reason why there are flying counters. So it's all counters. You can proliferate, you can copy, you can do, you can undo. That's kind of the whole joke. It is. He knew there was no way back home, back to Sanarkand. So that's the thing, right? So if, again, this is one of those, Final Fantasy X did have a better fidelity, but still seeing some of the things in drawing like this is beautiful. And again, the theme is what it is. This deck, if I recall correctly, I think this was either the most expensive or the second most expensive. And I mean, there is a reason. It's the simpler to follow. It's the simpler to make work. And I guess the simpler to upgrade, because just get any +1/+1 card in this color identity and it just works. Which is not that difficult. At the same time, it's the simpler and the hardest to upgrade because it just works. And the problem with this deck just working is that, you don't touch a winning team. So, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. A lot of good moments, a lot of good recreations. This is the best, the famous meme, the moment. Draw is inspiring call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until the end of turn. Ha 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 ha. So 3 visits. By the way, this moment is so very misunderstood. Like, if you play the game, you get it. If you just see the meme, you're like, oh, look at that voice acting. It's like, that's the point, guys. It's forced on purpose. Plus 2000s too, but Arcane Signet, again, one of those cases where the default cards are all visually themed to Final Fantasy X, which is lovely. Next year, Kingdom Hearts deck. At least one, I guess. And then the lands. It would be too much to ask that all the lands are themed for a deck. They are not, so they are from Final Fantasy, but still, I love it that Arcane Signet and all that are like themed for that game. So that's the third one. Remember, we're going to compare each of them and go a little bit more in detail with comparisons and so on at the end. Now we need to go to the last deck, Final Fantasy XIV. Now I gotta be honest here. A lot of people were shitting their pants for this one. This is the best deck. I don't care that much about this deck on paper, right? And on paper because it's cards, no, like for multiple reasons. So be a master caster, card advantage and control. Final Fantasy XIV, and it has Ishtola, Knights Blessed, right? And every time I remember that whenever I move them like this, the deck is dancing. Always seek out new knowledge, band together with Ishtola to aid Eorzea in its time of need. Battle with friends, outpace your opponents by generating card advantage that helps control the game. Monitor your cooldowns and mana to create a powerful slowdown effect, all while triggering your team's abilities with each spell you cast. And then Ishtola, Knights Blessed, well versed in arcane and ancient wisdom. Ishtola pragmatism is matched only by her thirst for knowledge. Her relentless studies have revealed the edges of a greater truth, and only time will tell where this new perspective will lead her. So, it is what it is. We'll try to open this very carefully. I mean, kind of what's the point already? If it's already bent, it's already bent. By the way, see why I say that it should be open from the top? The top, we didn't read the top to Sanarkhan. Amazing piece of music. So I see, like, whoever designs the packaging, although I feel that in these ones, because it really invites you to open it from the top. Again, maybe it's a me thing, I don't know. Again, destroyed, heavily damaged. Things happen here. So, sad, but the first one was a surprise. I thought maybe it was my fault for opening it the wrong way. The second one is what it is. From this moment on, I just suffer in silence. Look at that. Well, I know what you're thinking. It's like, well, at least it's not the cards. Well, the cards suffer too. And you know the funny thing about all these? +1/+1 and Final Fantasy counters. Nice art too. I guess it's from Nelson, I think it was the name. You know the fun thing about all this, the funny as hell thing, is that yes, I care about the inserts, I care about the dividers, and in all decks, the crystal divider is perfectly fine because it's the one in the middle, I think, and then the ones on the sides are either screwed or very screwed. So, which is, ironic because those are the ones that you want. Not that the crystal is whatever, but it is kind of whatever. So let's see. My God, what a travesty. Let's see the insert. To be fair, what I was saying, I don't care too much about this deck. Not only because of the theme, even though this will be my type of deck to play, but because I don't play Final Fantasy XIV. I understand that after the expansion / fix of Final Fantasy XIV, the game gained new life, and that's why everyone loves Final Fantasy XIV. And the consensus is that it's one of the best, if not the best, MMORPG currently in the market. So that I respect, and I'm trying to remember the name of the expansion. I knew that, and I don't remember. So basically, you had Final Fantasy XIV. It launched. It was kind of and then this beautiful man that I can't remember the name either, that is the director of Final Fantasy XVI, was the one that came in and they did the Final Fantasy XIV expansion. I can't remember the name, and they basically fixed the game. So playing the deck again, card advantage. You can't win the game without a complete theme, which is where Grahatia, Scion Reborn, comes in. He will call forth heroes from across the realm to fight for your side, monitor your cooldowns and mana to create powerful solo effects, while triggering your team's abilities with each spell you cast. Emmet Selch, or Selk, I guess, of the third seat, can cast instant and sorceries from the graveyard, bringing about the final days of your opponents. So, great art from Nestor again, Nestor Osandon Leal. Ishtola Knights Blessed and Graha, I guess it's Graha, Grahatia, Scion Reborn. And where is this deck associated with? Where is this deck associated with white, blue, and black mana? White symbolizes the goal of saving the world. Okay. Shared by Ishtola, Grahatia, and the Science of the Seventh Dawn. Blue represents their pursuit of mysterious and scholarly knowledge, and black reflects the existence of the Asian ancient Emmet Selch. I guess. See, this doesn't beat the allegation. A lot of people that join Magic, which has been a lot recently due to Universes Beyond, do tend to have the idea of, white good, black bad, which it's something that, if it's a thing that is established in fantasy and in racist people. But basically, the thing is, in Magic, that's not necessarily the case. Maybe at the beginning, but in modern Magic, modern, not modern Magic, the current Magic, because nowadays the color identity kind of gets wishy-washed. But in modern Magic, you have like black is not necessarily good and white is not necessarily black is not necessarily bad and white is not necessarily good. And examples of this is Eldritch Norn is a white mana creature and she's bad as hell. And Liliana is black and she's a hero, right? So Conformer Shuriken. Okay. I mean, it's not that banned, but it is banned, so it's what it is. And Papalimo Totolimo. Which, if you are young, this is not Italian brain rot. This was a thing, okay? So, just so you know, this was a thing before you start going like Papalimo Totolimo, Ballerina Cappuccino, or whatever. Man, I'm getting old when I start going like, if you are young and you like this. So, Final Fantasy XIV. Let's see. I do appreciate that they are trying to put like the cooldown mechanics and all that, similar to, the MMO nature of the game, but you will see in a second what I mean. So the tokens and the cards. So for the tokens, these tokens are very interesting. So hero, spirit, hero, spirit, hero, spirit, a bird, which looks like Articuno, fight me, hero, bird, hero, wizard, hero, wizard, hero, human soldier, hero, human soldier, Moogle, treasure, and Moogle, and a zombie. So all tokens are like tokens for the universes for these decks are crazy, and this one even more because of all different arts for heroes. So you really get to pick your class, I guess. So now for the commanders. This is a divisive one, guys. Some people say it's the best deck, some people hate it with all their guts. Why? Let's find out. It costs one white, one blue, one black. Is a 2/4 cat warlock. A lot of people it's just because it's like a cat mummy and we have a lot of furries. But vigilance. At the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Ishtola deals, or Ishtola, I don't know how you pronounce it, correct me, deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. Which, to be honest, when people saw the description of this deck, I was like, cool, I guess. Like, I'm more excited about the description of the deck. Like, be a master caster, card advantage and control. A lot of people got excited because of that, because those are the 2 words for any tryhard in Magic. Me too, but basically, but this type of card is, it's like at the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life, it can be you too. You draw a card, which is okay. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life, which one kind of can trigger the other, right? So now let's see Grahatia, Scion Reborn, for 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. By the way, do you notice that on these decks, they went back on the whole, the commanders, you don't get a life wheel, but the commanders are full art. They are not anymore because they want to sell you collector boosters. So it is what it is. For white, blue, and black is a 2/3 cat wizard. So cats everywhere. With lifelink, and it has throw wide the gates. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay X life, where X is that spell's mana value. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token and put X +1/+1 counters on it. Do this only once each turn. So 2 different approaches, but that make kind of sense. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, so expensive non-creature spells, those 2 damage and you gain 2 life to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. And here, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can pay X life, and that, so these 2 synergize amazingly good because, you cast a non-creature spell. Look at this. Just these 2 cards is already a very good combo. You cast a non-creature spell. Boom. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, so try to be 3 or greater, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. And then you may pay X life, where X is that spell's mana value. So if that mana value was 4, ideally, which is 3 or greater, you pay 4 life. You already gained 2, so you only pay 2 really. And if you do, you create a 1/1 colorless hero that has X +1/+1, so it's a 5/5. And then at the end, this will trigger because you lost 4 life. As a player, it has to be you. And you draw a card. So between these 2, there is a very good combo, and I see what they were going for with the whole party mechanic. However, you will see in a second why this deck, to me at least, feels like a betrayal. So you look at this and you have legendary creature, elf wizard, Alisael Levelio, partner with Alfinod Levelio. So it has first strike and dual cast. The second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. We will find the other in a second. Champions from Beyond. With this enchantment enters, create X colorless hero creature tokens. So you get a lot of heroes. Mind you, this is an enchantment. Cool. This is an artifact equipment. So I guess job select. When this artifact enters, create a 1/1 colorless hero, then attach this to it. So you create creatures by, diagonally, like not directly, which is good because you need something to defend yourself. Tataru. But I do feel like you have too many creatures, mostly because of the need of having legendary creatures, because it's a Final Fantasy Universes Beyond thing, and you need to have the characters featured somehow, right? And that's kind of the problem. So here is Alfinod, and it has partner, Vigilance, and it has Eucrasia. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. So between the 2 of them, and these have partner. So if you want to have them, the 2 of them as your commander, they can be your commander for this deck, however, because they don't have black. But second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast, and where you cast a second spell each turn, draw a card. So a very good combo right there. Blue Mage Kane. Equipped creature gets 0+2. Hermes, Overseer of Elpis. Again, you cast a non-creature spell, cool. But here, it enters, you cast a non-creature spell, cool. So all the specific ones. Enchant creature opponent controls. When this hour enters, remove enchanted creature from combat, then draw a card for each type of creature your opponent controls. So you have Sun removal, Eye of Nichehawk. You enchant a creature, and enchanted creature is a black dragon with base power and toughness 4/2. It's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to its owner's hands. So very good. But then again, creature, equipment, instant, creature. See what I mean? And not all of them are about non-creature spells. So a lot of them are just like whenever one or more opponents lose life. So you have these almost spell slinger side to this. It's like, oh, whenever you cast non-creature spells, you do things. But also it's about gaining life and losing life. So you have a lot of, whenever you lose life, this happens. Which, okay, but it feels like we're trying to do too many things at the same time. And that's, most of the time, that's the problem for that's the problem with this type of commander decks, with the precons, that they try to do too much things at the same time. And when they are, when we're talking about Universes Beyond ones, it's worse because they are trying to appeal to the flavor of amazing looking card. They're trying to appeal to the flavor of the game and not necessarily the synergy of the deck. Like, it has some synergies, but not that crazy. This art is amazing. There's a playmat of this, by the way. And I feel that's where it falls. And as I'm going through the cards, I'm thinking, how is it possible that it was more difficult to get collector boosters of Final Fantasy than it was to get them for the Lord of the Rings, where the Lord of the Rings had the one out of one ring, and here we don't have anything like that. Well, you have the chocobos, but not the same. I just think people went bananas because of this, trying to emulate the whole Lord of the Rings thing. I think that when they do the Marvel set, not like we had a Secret Lair, we had a Spider-Man thing. If they do an Avengers one or something, my bet, and I think a lot of other people's bet, is they are going to do a and you have a lot of control spells in case you didn't notice so far. They are going to have the Infinity Stone. So it's going to be like 1 out of 1 Infinity Stone or something like that. That's at least my bet, I guess. Talisman of Dominance, Talisman of Hierarchy, Talisman of Progress, Top Vessel, Arcane Sanctum, Ash Barrens, Command Tower. So again, the classic cards with specific art, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Path of Ancestry, Temple of the False God, and then Plains. This is Final Fantasy XV. Yep, could recognize that barren wasteland everywhere. Island, other swamps, and so on. So now let's talk proper about the decks in detail, compare them, and which one is better, which one is worse, and my opinions and all that stuff. So first things first. This video is long, but it's not the longest one we've done so far. Maybe it depends on the conclusion. So let's see. In terms of the decks and the flavor and how it fits and what they're trying to achieve, as a Final Fantasy fan, which is important because you can't remove one thing from the other here. These are Final Fantasy decks, after all. So, as a Final Fantasy fan, I think that the ones that, I think that all of them are trying to go for the lore connection thing, but some do it better than others. So we're going to rank it. We're going to use the commander from each deck to symbolize the ranking of the decks, right? So in terms of flavor, which deck I feel matches the flavor better, both in their commander, their secondary commander, and the overall mechanics of the deck, I think it's something like this. I have mixed feelings here. Maybe this, but this is cheating. So is either a tie, or by the way, this means tie. It doesn't mean like this one is better than this one, or is like this. My rationale. Why? So Final Fantasy VII deck is pretty straightforward, right? It's equipment. You add stuff. Now, yes, it does have some of our favorite heroes with the Power 7 thing. It's not everywhere. It's not all the characters. It's not everything. It's there. So the limit break thing is kind of there. Okay, so that's there. It's all about equipment. And since the deck is all about creatures and equipment, you do get a lot of Final Fantasy creatures and a lot of Final Fantasy shit. either because it's Final Fantasy VII specific or it's because it's just equipment with Final Fantasy VII skins. So it just works, right? And it's a little bit now in terms of flavor of the story, it's there, but I do feel like, for example, Cloud is all about like powering up, attacking, and just going in, grabbing something and attack. So yeah, and it also goes along with the theme of like equipping materials and all that. So I kind of see what they're going for, right? And Cloud works in a way, Tifa works in a like similar thing, like in a party and so on. It's not specific to Tifa, but I get it. Now, Tidus, different deck, but the deck in terms of message with Final Fantasy X, it's there, I guess. It's like Final Fantasy X's message about life and continuing and all that. In the deck itself is not that much. It's +1/+1s, guys. But basically, in terms of the commander is kind of what carries the thing, right? And I think it's there. The only reason why I think it's not as much is because here everyone equips and all that, and I can see the whole materia thing and the power 7 thing. But here +1/+1 is not as, just because Tidus has like cheer as a thing, it doesn't mean that every +1/+1 is a cheer here, right? You guys are like, oh, it's souls, it's energy. But it's like, So I feel like as a theme, not so much. Now, it still is more flavorful than the others. I do think that both Tidus and Yuna, I hope it was intentional, but they are two sides of the coin. I think their personalities are reflected in their designs. So Tidus is all about giving and distributing and empowering others, and just being there and attacking and all that, very energetic. And Yuna is all about like giving energy to others, like sacrificing herself for the greater good. And whenever someone dies, their power, their essence goes on the others, and etc. Right? So I think just on that dynamic alone, that thing is there. Final Fantasy XIV, I'm gonna be honest, you may be thinking, well, you said you didn't play Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, I saw some things about it. I am not blind to Final Fantasy XIV, but I am not an expert or anything, right? So I guess I need to watch like a 4-hour YouTube video about the lore. But basically, I can see what they were going for, right? Like, it's all about non-creature spells and cooldowns and whatnot. I guess that the life, they're using the life as a thing. I think that it's more of a mechanical thing when you see Graha, because it's like Grahatia, because it's like, okay, so whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay X life, where X is the spell mana. So if you do create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token, so like you're creating heroes and creating stuff from it, like seeing a lot of the cards, it gives me that MMORPG thing, right? It gives me that vibe of like, okay, hero classes, attaching stuff and power stuff. It's like, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but Final Fantasy XIV, because of the nature of the gameplay, goes towards a more normal RPG, I guess, if you know what I mean. Not that these are like crazy different RPGs, but story is a lot more heavy. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Final Fantasy VI. So on that reason, you will be like, oh well, I guess if you don't see the lore of this and you haven't played, this should be the last one. But see, that's the thing. I have played Final Fantasy VI, and that's why, like, I get what they were trying to do with this deck, but I don't know. Like, to be honest, when they announced Final Fantasy VI, for the Final Fantasy sets, my thought, and I guess a lot of people's thought, was, okay, they're going to do 4 commander decks, which, we are not always right, because for Spider-Man, I was like, oh, they are totally going to do 4 commander decks. 1 for Spider-Man, 1 for the Sinister Six, 1 for Across the Multiverse, and another for, I don't know, some other Spider-Man thing, I don't know. But it can be like Venom, maybe. So if you want to sell, right, like just Venom and symbiotes and proliferate and tokens and shit, I don't know. You could do a lot of things with Spider-Man. So, but there was no decks, right? And for Lord of the Rings, they went for themes that were reasonable. For Doctor Who, they and Warhammer, they went with more or less logical divisions. But for example, in the case of Doctor Who, something similar happened. Doctor Who has 15 doctors, so they could not do 15 decks, so they went for like the most popular ones. So the 10th Doctor, the 9th and the 11th Doctor together, which timey-wimey best deck ever, and then you had one for the current Doctor, and then you had one for the villains, and you had ones for the legacy Doctors, right? And it's like, and there you go. So nice division. For Final Fantasy, I thought it was one of the two. Either they go with a similar thing and they go like, okay, so villains of Final Fantasy, and then they do themes, and one of the themes was going to be like Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and then one deck was going to be Final Fantasy 1 to 6, because it's all the 2D Final Fantasies, and then one deck for Final Fantasy 16, or maybe like 13, 15, 16. And I think I said this in a video. I think it's somewhere in the channel. I think I said this. So that was my bet, but I wasn't expecting low for Final Fantasy 6. Let's be honest. Even if you told me like, no, try to guess, they're going to do 4 decks, and each deck is for a game, my bet would have been, okay, 14 because everyone plays that shit, 16 because it's the most recent, and maybe you could try to pair it with like 16 and 15, but if you tell me like each deck one game, I will be like, okay, 16, 14, and then 7 of freaking course, and I guess 15, but a lot of people have mixed feelings with 15, so 13, but a lot of people have mixed feelings with 13, so I will go 10 or even 8 or even 9 with Zidane. Like all of those will be options. I was not expecting Final Fantasy VI because Final Fantasy VI is considered one of the best RPGs of all time, and yet it's in the shadow of other great RPGs, right? So because of time, it's normal. Like not everyone has the patience or the guts to, like, in 2025, where you are used to these graphics or these remakes, or you can tolerate these, I guess. In terms of graphics, I'm talking graphics. All of these are great games. So a lot of people are not going to stomach the whole going to 2D thing, right? So it is what it is. But they put Final Fantasy VI, and I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. So, and that's why I'm kind of like, I get it. Like the same as these had to be +1/+1s because like mechanics within Magic, right? Like, and this is equipment because they try to fit Magic mechanics into the thing. But if you could make something like time travel with Doctor Who, I guess with Final Fantasy they did some stuff, but it's not like you can reinvent the wheel every time. Final Fantasy VI, I feel, is misrepresented. Yes, part of the quest in Final Fantasy, part of the game, is bringing back your quest, and it has a lot of do with death and all that. But to make it a Mardu deck and basically make it, so everything that goes to your graveyard, it's like you mill things, she gains flying, which is like what those mill represent for Terra. Maybe I'm missing something. Please let me know. But maybe I'm missing something. It's like what those mill represent for Terra. She lost her memory, and she was a living weapon. So I guess if you mill things, which is knowledge, because your hand is your spells in Magic the Gathering, she gets more powerful because she doesn't have a conscience, I guess. But that's not true. At the beginning of the game, you're not more powerful than you are at the end. So it's like, and then Celes is kind of there. It's like, well, whenever one or more creatures you control enter, if one or more enters from a graveyard, +1/+1, so like people come back stronger, I guess. Like, so I get it that in this case, graveyard is just like a place. It's not like literally they are dying. It's not like they die in Final Fantasy VI. But really, I guess, yes, if you had to grab these 4 games, I don't know what the criteria was. I don't know if Square Enix was the one that said grab these 4, or Magic was, or the Wizards were the ones that were like, we should do 7, of course. 10 is a very popular one. Everyone plays these. So I guess we should, we love 6, right? I don't know if that was the reasoning. I doubt that Square Enix was the one that said, you should do 6. I think they grabbed 6 as a representative of like the old Final Fantasy. To be really honest, I am really surprised that there is no Final Fantasy 16 deck. Like, this should be the Final Fantasy 16 deck. Like you can't run away from this, you can't run away from this, you could run away from this, but this, I don't know. And then the theme is kind of there. I think that, and if you want to go with this theme, Final Fantasy XVI is also good for this theme. Like the guy dies at the beginning and comes stronger, and is all about avenging. It's like I'm you can't see it, but I'm literally wearing a Final Fantasy XVI t-shirt. I did not plan this, I swear. I'm literally wearing a Final Fantasy XVI t-shirt with a wolf. Like and yes, I know what you're thinking. It's like a t-shirt with a wolf, and yes, it's like a t-shirt with a wolf, and then is the moon, and then is the phrase that says escape. I'm reading upwards because this is the escape this fate that we made escape this fate that we made escape this fate that we might one day look upon the moon again together, right? So I'm reading like I have reading problems, but escape this fate that we might. Why I'm reading might like I'm Irish or Australian? What the hell is happening? Jesus. Okay, let's try. Escape this fate that we might and one day look upon the moon again together. So that's kind of thing. It's Final Fantasy 16. So I was like, mind you, I'm not like a simp of Final Fantasy 16. I'm not like, oh, it's the best game ever. Like, I liked it. It's cool. I have the collector's edition somewhere here. Like, I love the game, but it's not Final Fantasy VI. So I guess I'm just angry at the fact that this deck is not better in every sense, and I'm just salty, and that's why I put it in the end for lore. Now going back to Magic the Gathering mechanics and things. Let's see. In terms of commanders, which ones are the best commanders? Just the commander, right? Not necessarily the synergy with the deck and so on. Like, what commander can you build the most around and just make him more, make the commander more powerful and do more crazy stuff? So the Cloud, I guess, is the easiest to build around. Like, you just do an equipment deck. It is what it is. And Tidus is +1/+1, so it's just easy to build around. And Ishtola and Terra, I think it's kind of the same order. Some people argue that Ishtola, if well built, is the most powerful of the commanders. Not to my taste, to be honest. I never liked the whole, like, if you lose life, if anyone lost 4 life, but you really need to cast a lot of things. Like, it's not once per turn. So if you really cast non-creature spells with mana 3 or greater twice, then everyone loses 4 life, and you trigger and draw a card. So it's not bad, but it's slow. That's why I'm putting her like here. Terra, again, there's a commander, I forgot the name of the card, but there's a commander that's basically Terra, and it's okay. In terms of like the power of the commander themselves, I will do something like this. In terms of the co-commanders though, different game. The co-commanders are very interesting. If you use them as commanders, not as another card in the 99. So in terms of secondary commanders, so I think Juna is just crazy. You can do crazy combos with Juna. Juna is like, you tap, gives you 1 mana. If you cast a creature, it gives you +1. It comes with additional +1/+1, 2 additional +1/+1 counters. And then whenever another permanent dies, it just comes with the counter. So if you want to build counters, so you can even argue that Juna is a better commander than Tidus. So Juna, right? Juna to me is the strongest of the secondary commanders. And then it gets mixed, right? Because Tifa, it has melee, it has melee, and it is what it is. But whenever one or more creatures you control with power 7 or greater deal combat damage to a player, on top of creatures you control, you have a second battle phase. So that's not bad, but you do need to have everyone more or less bombed. It doesn't limit you to equipments though. So you can do a lot of things without equipments. Celis, it enters, you discard a number of cards and draw like many cards, that's good. But then, when one or more creatures you control enter, if one or more of them enter from a graveyard, or were cast from a graveyard, +1/+1. So I think these two are more or less on the same level of usefulness. Like, they are good. You can build around them exclusively. Like, you can build around bringing stuff back from the graveyard, and it works with Celes. It's not going to be anything crazy. Like, you get on each creature you control, you get anytime you bring something, everyone gets +1/+1. So it's good, but it's not crazy. And with Tifa, it's just because it's slow. So I do put them at the same level. If you really want me to do it just one per level, it will be something like this. I think that if Tifa, if you get everyone to 7, which is not that difficult depending on the deck you're building. It doesn't need to be equipments. It doesn't say anything about equipments. You get 2 combat phases. And she has melee. So the fact that she can attack, she herself gets +1/+1. If you attack an opponent, if you attack all of them with 3 creatures, melee triggers, and then she will have 7/7, and you can just do 2 combat phases. So that's not bad. So Grahatia is a thing. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay X life, where X is that spell mana value. If you do, you create a 1/1 with X. So I think this is okay, but it has lifelink, but by itself, you know what I mean? By itself, it's okay. That's kind of my feelings. Like it's just okay. Like yes, you can be like, oh, but Celes, you need to discard and you need to revive things. You also need support cards for this. Like yes, but I feel like both one or more creatures you control enter, everyone gets +1/+1, including Celes. And when she comes in, she does things. Grahatia has lifelink, which is great, except for the fact that it's unlikely they're going to attack with this thing. It doesn't have flying or anything. Now, if you cast a non-creature spell, you can pay X life, and that gives you a hero with, X +1/+1 creatures. Grahatia really feels like a support, like in the party is a support, and Ishtola is like the DPS. Well, not DPS, it's more like area damage because it's like all players and you gain life. But basically, it's like, yeah, you create heroes and that's good, but you're not going to do anything crazy. So for the secondary commanders, this will be the order, I think. And, if you count them in the deck, now talking about like cards in the deck, like synergies, these two have very good synergy if you have both on the battlefield at the same time. These two also, these two and these two kind of okay. But in terms of synergies, if you get 2, which is it's not very common, but it can happen. I like to do these things. If you get the 2 of them out at the same time, what's up? So the synergy here is good, but it's not crazy. Here they operate okay. So it's not like it's bad having the 2 of them in the battlefield. It's just that it's not going to change your world. They are kind of like, yes, Titus can move the +1/+1s that Yuna makes, but it's nothing too crazy. If you look at these ones, yeah, this is like, yeah, they do synergy better, and in the sense that they do depend more on each other than these and these do, and these synergy the best, right? So it will be something like this, I guess, in terms of synergies between them. Now, talking about the decks themselves, not the commanders, but the decks, the themes, the things, everything, right? Talking about that stuff. So, what is the, or let's go about upgradability first, right? Like, what is the easiest to upgrade deck? No, actually, let's go in order. What is the most powerful deck right off the box? Or like, I will do powerful and fun. Fun is subjective, but powerful too, to a degree. I mean, because it depends on luck, because you have to draw cards. But so, subjectively, as everything in this video, what is the most powerful deck? Well, right off the box, in terms of power, I think it's something like these, more or less, like with somewhat of a distance. Like if you allow me to cheat, it will be something like this and these two at the same level, more or less. Like raw power only, without upgrades. Now with upgrades, if you put like, I don't know, 10 cards on each deck, right? Well, funny enough, I don't think this is gonna get too much better. So they get like this, maybe even like this with upgrades, and this like this. I guess like with upgrades, you remove a few creatures and put crazy upgrades here, and this deck can be very painful to play with and against. So this is what it is. This is just +1/+1s and counters. Just add counters depending on whether you go with Juna or with Tidus. You either add counters, period, or you add +1/+1 counters to it. And there's a lot of cards for that. So the deck is already good. It just gets stronger. When it comes to Cloud, it depends on the equipment. So the equipments that it has are already good. So there is not that much that you can do. Like, to be fair, what happens is that if you add crazy equipments to this, the deck basically, if this was a power bar, the deck basically just goes like it's better, but it's not, in terms of jumps, it's not doing the same jump as these two decks. Like it's not that. Terra, okay, maybe I'm biased here, but I do feel like, if you kind of build the entire, I'll say like 10 cards or something, right? Yes, it's Mardu, it's a good color combination. So if you build around Terra and you just throw away half of the deck, it's not that the deck is bad, it's just because of pure power. And then yes, this deck becomes the most powerful, but you really have to, it's basically a different deck. It's not like the deck with upgrades if you do that, right? So it is what it is. That's I think my feeling. In terms of what is the I will leave fun at the end, because I think fun, even though it's subjective, to me is the most important thing when it comes to precons. So power and upgradability, I think those are the orders more or less. I think if we are talking, fun is the thing. If we are talking like you're a beginner to Magic, which ones you should pick? So really, 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 this. If you're a beginner to Magic, and maybe even as a tie here, like if you're a beginner to Magic and you want to start Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, and then this, I feel like this is easier to track than this for a new player. So if you're a new player, that's where my votes will be in terms of how easy to follow and to track the deck is. What else do we have? I was thinking about something else, then I forgot. I think we should just go to fun and then overall balance, right? So fun, which one is what's the order of the funniest decks to play with as they are from the box, and I guess theme. So let's go with theme, fun, and then overall. So theme, which deck is doing their theme better? And when I say theme, let's try to go by the theme on the box, right? So let's see. Remember, Science and Spellcraft is be a master caster, card advantage, and control. I guess, you know what I mean? It's like, okay. Final Fantasy X, add counters, pass them around. That matches. Equip weapons, raise your stats, pass 7 power. And fill your graveyard, revive your fallen heroes. It's just a shame that you have to be the one killing them. But basically, in terms of the themes, so yeah, obviously, without a doubt, these two are these two, in terms of what the deck promises, these two are the ones that follow it the most. In this order in particular. Why? Because Tidus is one of the few cards in the deck, if not the only one now that I think about it, that moves counters between cards. Yes, you do have a lot of cards that put +1/+1 counters or flying counters or whatever. So you put a lot of counters. But so add counters, check, but pass them around, not that much. Is Tidus and some other cards is not the main thing. But if you look at Final Fantasy VII, is equip weapons, which, yep, you have a lot of those, and raise your stats past 7 power. Even though it doesn't happen a lot, you have more cards that trigger with, if your power is 7 or greater, than you have here cards that move tokens. So that's the only criteria. Now, when it comes to the other ones, Master Caster and Card Advantage and Control, true. And this one is fill your graveyard, revive fallen heroes, true. They just don't do it as well. I do feel like they're trying to do too many things at once, though. If you look at this, you can tell that, this is pretty straightforward. Like, it works. In terms of following what the box says, these two, I guess, but you don't bring your fallen heroes that much, and you kind of do control. So these two are kind of on the same level of like not fulfilling promises. And it's more like this. Now, if you go about game plan, like the entire deck, like consistency of the deck. I know that we do like 7 rankings in this decks, in this video, but hey, you've been here for 2 hours, so this is the least I can do to like go in depth and give you like opinions. So because not everyone buys the 4 of them, right? Sometimes you buy 1 and that's it, which is reasonable and perfect. You don't need to be an idiot like me. So basically, here, in terms of how consistent the deck is more like this, like very consistent, not much craziness. It has equipment. It also has the 7 power stuff. It also has some other stuff about treasures somewhere. It's like, okay, I guess it doesn't bother me too much, but and these two, again, I have the same problem. This is why this is kind of, I remember this after talking about the rest, because you kind of have control and you kind of have spell slingering, kind of, and you kind of cast heroes and whatnot. But if it's a deck about non-creature spells, because both commanders are about non-creature spells, you have a lot of creatures in there. It's okay to have non-creature spells like equipments and auras and whatnot that create creatures, because you need bodies to defend yourself. But the deck, again, is what I said, like in terms of upgradability, this one is good, but in terms of the basis of it feels like all over the place. It feels like, oh, you have control, but not that much. You have card draw, but not that much. You have you cast non-creature spells, but you actually cast a lot of non-creature spells. So it feels like, kind of not trying to do everything. Final Fantasy VI has a similar problem. That is that, and it's the most egregious to me. Like, it really, I love Final Fantasy VI so much that this thing bothers me. But basically, what is the thing with this? The thing with this is, brother, what are we doing here? Like, yes, besides the fact that I understand the theme of like fallen heroes, bringing them back to life, which, okay, like, I get it. I guess, like, fill your graveyard, revive your fallen heroes. I guess I get it. I think, like, not. I can't complain that much. I am the person that always complains that we should stop doing like typal decks. So, this could be a soldier tribal deck, or typal, as the kids say, and this could be like a warlock or wizard or cat theme deck, and you could do that, right? So they try to do different things, and the most boring one here, I guess, is the +1/+1. Although Voltron, the Fallout had a Voltron one, so I guess if you grab some of the cards from the Voltron deck from Fallout and put them here, the deck is solid as hell. But this one is like revive, which, okay, but then half of the cards in here, as I showed you, it's like, oh, you revive when you do return target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard. It's like, cool, but it's not like you have that much mana. Like, this deck has no green on it. You don't have that much mana to spend 2 every time Terra does combat damage. I understand the logic for Terra. She flies, you do combat damage, you pay 2, you bring something from power 3 or less, and you do have ways to mill. Like, Terra herself mills. She mills 2 cards, then she flies. But like the rest of the deck is like, Celes is like, oh, whenever one or more creatures you control enter, if one of them enter from a graveyard, it's like, so we want to steal things from other players? Like, a lot of this is from your graveyard, but a lot of this is just to a graveyard. Send things to graveyards, and then maybe steal things from other people's graveyards. So there is no consistency. It feels like when you build a deck on Moxfield and you just go, or like Archidec, or whichever wants to sponsor me, I'm okay with everyone. Basically, it's like, listen, you just start writing and go, graveyard, boom, in the keywords, and you kind of put a lot of things there. It feels like that. It's like graveyard, but which one? My graveyard? Your graveyard? It has things with treasures for some reason, and it's not clear what they're trying to do, right? Like, I guess at least that one is like only graveyard. So if you want to go with consistency, it's like, yeah, it has mostly graveyard. It has other shit in there, but it's like mostly graveyard. Well, whilst this one is like, oh, it has control, it has card draw, it has a lot of things because like it. In terms of deck consistency, I will call it like that, which ironic because if you remember, in terms of upgrades, if you upgrade this one, I believe this one can be the craziest of all of them. And funny enough, and just because before you kill me, this is my favorite Final Fantasy. However, this was the deck when I saw just the box, when I saw just this, they show you this, Mastercaster, Card Advantage and Control, I was like, brother, my favorite deck, precon of all time is Timey Wimey. This is right up my alley. And yet, right? Like, yes, when I saw that this was Mardu and was like all revived, like I said multiple times in this channel, I don't like graveyard play, so like I was doomed from the start with Final Fantasy VI. But still, I wanted to try it. I didn't hate it, but So, which brings me to fun. So we're gonna do fun, and then last but not least, overall rating. So fun. Which deck is the funniest to play with? And I'm going to divide this one in two. If you are a beginner, or you play casually, or if you're a tryhard. Precon as it is, no upgrades, right? I do think as precons as if they were board games. I just grab the four of them and play with people. So one's against each other and how they, all that stuff. But we're playing with a full pod of these precons. It's fun. They are all different. So they are trying to go for different things. One is all about counters, the other is about equipment, the other is trying to go with the graveyard, and the other is trying to control. So it's fun and balanced, and it's interesting, right? And balance more or less. It does feel like two decks are kind of running wilder than the others, but it's fun. Everyone is trying to go for something different. So, if you're one of those people that like Root, well, this is Root, people. So basically, Root the board game, look it up. So basically, in terms of fun, if you're a newcomer to Magic, I think this is the funny thing, the fun order. If you are a experienced player and you are old and you just don't like thing go boom, I guess this can be funnier for you because graveyard and stuff like that. Maybe like this, because +1/+1 counters is done to death, right? So I think this if you're an experienced player, this is the fun. In terms of me in particular, with which one I had the most fun. Well, I'm biased and I don't like graveyards, so it is what it is. Sad, but it is what it is. I had the most fun like this, right? It was fun to play with +1/+1s, mostly because I tried to be tactical with moving my 1/+1, my counters, shield counters, a lot of shield counters, a lot of, proliferating and all that. So I was trying to be tactical, right? And I can see a world where I play with this guy and some toxic, and this thing goes very dangerous very fast. So, cool. This one, it was big thing goes boom, and it's fun, and it's great. I didn't feel like I could be as tactical with it. I do have a lot of fun with setting the board a little bit, and then boom, Cloud comes in, right? Because Cloud costs 5. So you have at the very least 3 turns, right? If you have like a Soul Ring and so on. Like 3 turns to set up your board, maybe 5 if you are not very lucky. If you're not very lucky, you have like 6 or 7 turns if you're mana choked. But if you have a constant mana flow, you have 5 turns before you can call Cloud. In those 5 turns, you have to get at least 1 equipment on board and some other creatures. And that equipment has to give you 3 power or more. Like and some cool thing like Sword of the Enemies or something. You get that in there. You prep the table, and then you go boom, Cloud, and Cloud has haste. Cloud equips for free. Cloud attacks, and you draw a card for each attacking creature, so you at least get 1 for Cloud if you don't have anyone else, and then he will have power 7 or more if you equip the proper things, and you create 2 treasure tokens. So you already jumped quite ahead in the game. So this is fun, but I like to play it like that. The rest of the deck is fun, but I feel like the fun punch is that when you go boom with Cloud, right? And I will be, I like the battle themes of all these games, but I will be very annoying every time I had to, I was about to summon Cloud. I will be like, bam, 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 pa-da-da-da-da-da-da, dun, 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 and just start playing, and people will be very annoyed with me, which is, you know, their loss. If we had a Final Fantasy VIII deck, I will be singing The Man with the Machine Gun all freaking game and be like, ping, 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 and people will be very annoying with me. So this one I had fun with, even though it's kind of all over the place and you have to lose life and whatnot. I did feel like I like it out of complexity. The problem is, like, if this deck was tweaked a little bit more, just a tweak more, like less shit happening, just like focus more on like more control or more card draw or whatever, like instead of happening 7 things at the same time, this deck will be my favorite by far, because this is my type of deck. It's just a very annoying deck, right? It's like you do damage, you do things, you pew, you attack here, you attack there, you control the game. It's kind of my shit. But I didn't feel like I had a strategy with this deck. I felt like I had stuff. You know, it felt a little bit like you had a lot of cards and you build a deck and it's kind of there. So there. And with Terra, I didn't have that much fun for 2 reasons. One, because I was already salty because of the theme of Final Fantasy VI. And yes, I know someone in the comments will come and be like, but you know, Final Fantasy VI and loss and recovering your party is a big theme of the thing. And someone from Wizards is listening to this and being like, bro, you didn't get the thing about it. It's like, trust me, I got it. I played Final Fantasy VI multiple times. I love that game. I understand it. I just, you know, I guess a part of me is salty that it could be like a better mechanic, or Terra should, like maybe to carry the thing, Terra should be more powerful. I will try and build a Terra deck, even though I had to rebuild the entire deck to make it like about my graveyard, right? Because the problem with the deck is that it's graveyards as a concept. And Terra only triggers when you bring stuff from your graveyard with power 3 or less. So you see, it's like, we are not there. We're not on the same page, which is kind of what bothers me. So, you know, also I was kind of salty. Now, in defense of the Terra one, if we will rank art, yes, this one has the better art. Fight me. Like in terms of art, and this is very subjective, so you're allowed to like love whatever you want. I don't dislike this art, but I just find it like you know, like very not much happening. This is very manga-like. So the author is Nuhuayashi? Niji Hayashi, I think. I don't know. So try to read it. I'm getting old, I think I can read Niji Hayashi, I think, but it is what it is. So this, I already expressed my thing. So I love the art, best art, but it is what it is. Now, for the end of the video, stop all the rambling, stop everything. And for that comment of skip to 2 hours and something for the conclusions, ranking as objectively as possible, because nothing is objective when it comes to this, of these decks. Well, I think trying to be as objective as possible, the order for these decks is something like this. Why? Fun is a factor. But as I said, right off the box, this is kind of the same order, to be honest, maybe like this. You know, right off the box, in terms of power and so on, it's like this. If you upgrade them, it's also like this, more or less. In terms of fun for a beginner and so on, it's also like straightforward. It just works, right? So I think this is kind of the order. I understand that if you're a experienced Magic player, this will be your go-to, and you can upgrade this to hell and make it crazy. But, you know, I think this is the order. And again, if you ask me about my favorite Final Fantasy, this will not be the order, but I think this is what it is what it is, right? So also, before you buy your deck, shake it a little bit. If the deck is dancing around, you know what's happening. You know that you will have the same problem as me. So this is kind of the summary. This is the end of the video. I think that's it. Now, if you want to listen to some thoughts about Final Fantasy, since I doubt I will get my hands on collector boosters, which pains me because I really wanted collector boosters of Final Fantasy, not to resell, not to, you know, not to do any second-hand market shit, just to have cool Final Fantasy looking cards. So it pains me because it's so freaking expensive because of the secondary market, and Wizards not printing enough because they don't want to, because it's all real estate and it's all economics, I guess. So I guess I will do proxies, but basically, if you want to hear my thoughts on that, let me know, because I guess I will record myself opening a play booster box, which is, they're also more or less thingy to get your hands on. and talk about Final Fantasy and all that. But let me know what you think about the video. Let me know what you thought about this. Do you agree with my feelings about the decks, about the games? If you would like to have a deck from a Final Fantasy game, which game would you like it to be? Because I mean, we had the most popular ones, I guess. Maybe Final Fantasy IV, which is a fan favorite. Maybe Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Maybe Final Fantasy. Man, a deck from Final Fantasy Tactics. Man, I would buy Wizards. I will sacrifice my bank account to the Wizard gods for a deck for Final Fantasy Tactics. Kabam! I mean, they're doing a remaster, so I'm gonna buy that shit again. But yeah, like Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 13, maybe, and Final Fantasy 12. Final Fantasy 11, I understand it's kind of pointless if you have 14, even though they are not the same game, but you know what I mean. Final Fantasy 9, like there's a lot of good Final Fantasy games. Or maybe Final Fantasy Type O or Type 0. Or what was the name of the Final Fantasy that had the guy saying chaos? Damn. It was, what's the name? It was like Trouble in Paradise Final Fantasy Origins or something? No. Fuck, I forgot. Well, you know the one I mean, like the one that says you guys had chaos, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's an isekai, and it's the origin story of Final Fantasy." So the guy becomes the bad guy from Final Fantasy. So then the Warrior of Light has to come in, and then it was a very cool theory. It kind of made the game make sense. So it wasn't just like a clone of a Souls-like Final Fantasy mix, and then. Square Enix was like, no. It's nothing like that. This is an original story. It's like, why do you screw with the cool theories? Like, it was a cool theory. Just the guy at the end becomes the bad guy from Final Fantasy 1, starting the Final Fantasy thing. But I digress. So let me know down below what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your patience. And let me know if you are the 2-hour gang that stuck to the end. I hope to see you next time on Packs and Recreation. So, yeah, basically that's all. Like, subscribe, and all those things. Thank you. Love you. Bye.